I want to talk to you about the power of drilling and the power of practicing. When we're in this journey of self-mastery, a lot of times we can think, well, I know about that concept now, so I've got that down. I don't need to practice that, or I don't need to do that regularly. I'll just use it when I need it. And what's the problem with that? So even if we've gotten good at something, if we stop, it will immediately fade. Our brain is a lot like being on an escalator that's going down while we're trying to walk up on an escalator going down. The moment we stop making an effort, we start going the opposite way. Sometimes we may put a lot of effort into building a new skill, and then we stop and we find ourselves just falling right back to where we were before. There's one key concept that I want you to really take home today, and it's the concept that I always drop to the lowest level of my consistent training. So if I'm wanting to develop something and in the heat of battle, I'm going to need to use it, whatever I have trained most consistently is what I'm going to fall down to. Now, you may have noticed this skill come up for if you ever play an instrument, for instance. This is something I would always notice. I'd play the piano, and I would always notice that I might be able to play a song pretty decently when I was by myself and not under a lot of stress. But then suddenly, as I'm in the performance mode, stuff that I kind of hadn't practiced a lot, it was like I just would drop down below what I'd even practiced. I couldn't even do it as well as I had practiced it because I hadn't really been super consistent. So when we are really trying to develop a skill, we have to push a lot farther past what we think we need to really have the skill down. There's 4 levels of learning that we talk about. These 4 levels of learning are unconsciously incompetence, moving to conscious incompetence, moving to conscious competence, and then moving up to unconscious competence. So if you look at those 4 levels, when I'm unconsciously incompetent, I don't even know that I don't know how to do something, and I'm not even aware of it. And then suddenly when I move into this state of conscious incompetence, I might see a skill that I need to develop, like say I want to drive a car. And I'm like, man, I want to drive a car, and I see what it takes to drive a car, but I have no idea how to drive a car. Which then might lead us to go and get in a car and start learning how to drive it. We might have somebody help teach us. And that brings us to this place of conscious competence, where I'm having to really be conscious. I have to really think about, what I'm doing. I'm looking in the mirrors. I'm shifting. I'm using my turn signals, and I'm thinking about everything really consciously. But when I really master the skill, I find that I reach this level of unconscious competence, where now I can get in a car and I'm not thinking about driving. I might be on the phone, or I might be listening to the radio or talking to somebody next to me. I've gotten so good at it that I don't even need to think about it anymore. This is the level of mastery that we need to have with a tool or a skill if we really want to be sure we can use it well. We need to be at that level of unconscious competence. And that takes drilling things consistently over and over and over again. What is the concept of a flagpole? So the concept of a flagpole is this idea that, when we were in school, we would have a potential emergency like a fire. And in the case of the fire, we were going to go to a place of safety, to a flagpole. This is a place that we know we're going to be safe from the fire and from getting burned by the fire. So it's something we implement. It might seem like, oh, this is ridiculous. Why do I need to practice this? Because the likelihood of it happening is so low that I'll just wait until I need it. But that's the problem, is if you never practice something, again, what you haven't practiced, you're not going to use in the time of a stressful situation. So we practice in order to kind of have this knee-jerk response ready. And that's one of the reasons why it's really important to drill a flagpole. It's like drilling this procedure that we do, that we kind of run in the event of an emergency. So one of the best flagpoles that we can use is one that involves both the push and the pull of warrior chemistry, of the intentional passion that we have. So when we think about a flagpole, think about, I'm going to use my body in some intentional way. So we could run somewhere, and we could do something physical when we run to that location. It could be push-ups. It could be just running itself. The running to the location can be sufficient. And then I'm going to bring in the pull of this passionate intention, which is me in some way connecting. So I might pray. I might remember why I'm fighting. I might connect with a person, like make a phone call, or I might run to someone and talk with them. I might do some breath work where I'm just connecting with myself. Any one of those can be a really effective way to activate the pull side of this intentional passion that we use to get us back into a 0 on the thought scale. So combining those two into a flagpole can be one of the most effective ways to really get us back to a 0. But, either one, even if you just do one of the push or the pull, I think, either can be effective as well. The key thing I find is when you do a flagpole, go to a different location than you're in right now, because that really helps introduce a good pattern interrupt. So we're not just kind of running something, like if we've anchored a certain place that we're going to lose a battle. We essentially are like, whoa, I'm moving out of that space. I'm breaking the pattern. Flagpoles can be a really important thing to drill, but there's lots of other things that, if we want to get good at what it is that we're trying to master, we've got to be willing to drill. We've got to be willing to practice. And think of this concept of unconscious competence. That's how far I want to go in my practice, to the point that it's like a knee-jerk for me. I can do it in my sleep. That's what really matters as we're working to drill and learn different things through drills.